Hello, everyone. This is a presentation for parents who have a son or daughter in backpacking at Eden Prairie High School, and also students who are in either Mr. Halloran's class, that's me, or Mrs. Reynolds' class. So this is a trip that is an optional opportunity, not required to pass the class, and for kids who have this weekend open and want to take part in it, it's a pretty good opportunity, pretty fun trip. This is the third year we've gone to this specific destination, and it's really been a good experience for the kids. The dates for the trip are Saturday, October 13th through Monday, October 15th, and we'll be going to the North Shore of Minnesota, and we'll be staying both nights in Temperance State Park. So the purpose of this trip is to provide an outdoor experience for our students that combines all the skills they've learned in class. So there's no experience necessary. We have lots of kids every year that have never camped before. So it's a great opportunity to learn. And for kids that have done it before, another great opportunity for them to develop more skills, learn some new things. And then we also want to just introduce our kids that have never been in that area to the Superior Hiking Trail. We'll be hiking a section of that. And then we'll also be going to hike into some really scenic state parks and checking out some waterfalls and some different other spots. And so it's really a good opportunity to see a lot of the North Shore. As I mentioned before, it's not optional, or it's not required that you go on this trip. It's optional. So kids who do not go will be doing an assignment back at school during their hour. So my first hour class and Mrs. Reynolds' third hour class. So they'll just do an assignment that they can complete during the hour, and it doesn't impact their grade at all. The itinerary for Saturday, October 13th, is to meet at the high school on the east side and load all the gear, coolers, tents on the trailer. We'll be taking a regular school bus with a trailer behind. I'll be driving. And so as soon as we get loaded, hopefully we can depart around 6:30, if not before. We'll stop in Duluth for a bathroom break around 9 o'clock, and then arrive at the Superior Hiking Trail, which is right around Tofte. The starting point is going to be Britton Peak, and we'll drop the kids off there with the chaperones. We'll have probably another 4 or 5 chaperones along on this trip, and we expect to have anywhere between 30 and 40 kids. And so our chaperone ratio will be about 1 to 7, roughly. After we drop the kids off, I'll drive the bus down to Temperance State Park and then get a ride back up, and hopefully around noon we'll be able to start our hike. So about 1 o'clock we'll stop at Carlton Peak, which is a very scenic area. It's one of the highest peaks on the North Shore. And then after a break, we'll hike our way down to Temperance State Park and check out some of the waterfalls on the way. When the kids get to the campground, we've got reserved campsites, so kids will go to their designated campsite, set up their tents, make dinner whenever they want, and then we'll try to get them in bed in their tents by 11 o'clock because we've got a big day coming up on Sunday. So this is a section of the North Shore here, from Duluth all the way up to Grand Portage, the Canadian border. So we're going to be right around the Tofte area is where we'll be staying. And so our hike will be right about here. And then we're going to drive up on Sunday, and we're going to check out all these different spots. You know, we've got Grand Portage up there. We've got Judge Magny. We got Cascade we're going to check out. So it's a pretty fun area. This is a closer view of Temperance, where we'll be camping. And then when we drive up to our drop-off spot, we'll go up to Tofte, take the Sawbill Trail up. This is where we'll drop the kids off on Saturday with the chaperones, drive the bus back to Temperance, get a ride back up, and then we'll start our hike to Carlton Peak and work our way down eventually to the campground. So this is just a kind of an idea of just the elevation. We'll be probably starting right around here, and we hike down and then up to Carlton Peak, so you can see compared to the rest of the North Shore, it's pretty high, so it's a really good spot to check out, get some nice views, and really kind of a neat area. And then from there, we hike down. Nothing is this steep, but you can see the difference in elevation when we get to Temperance. So our hike to Carlton Peak is 1.5 miles. Temperance River, it's 4.3. The kids won't need to bring all their gear with them. They can take a small backpack with some snacks, with some water, but they really don't need to carry a lot. They might want to bring some, bring binoculars, bring their cell phone to take pictures, but it's fairly easy hike. This is a view from Carlton Peak, kind of looking south. You can see Lake Superior. And in the fall, we'll have a number of trees that'll be turning colors, and so it's pretty spectacular this time of year. Just some waterfalls down by Temperance State Park. On our way down, we'll be checking all these out, stopping for some pictures, and then eventually this river will empty into Lake Superior here, which is right where the campsite is. So on Sunday, we'll get the kids up about 7, have breakfast on their own. Hopefully around 8 o'clock is where we're going to depart on the bus. We'll take the bus all the way up to Grand Portage State Park and go and check out the largest waterfall in the state, right at the border. And then we'll leave there around 11 o'clock, and we'll go to Judge Magny State Park, which will be heading south now, back to where we came from. We'll stop and check out some of the waterfalls there. We might eat lunch there. We might stop in Grand Marais for a quick bite. We'll just see kind of how everybody's doing. And then we'll eventually, our third stop will be Cascade River State Park, which is just south of Grand Marais. And there may be one other spot we stop, just depending on how much time, but it'll be just basically just parking, doing our day hikes in, coming back out, and hopping on the bus and going to the next spot. So we cover some miles on Sunday, but it's very scenic, and it's been something that the kids have really enjoyed in the past years. So we'll get back by around 6 o'clock to Temperance Campground, have dinner, relax around the fire, and then lights out at 11 again. So this is just a view of again, another map of where we're at. Grand Portage is up here, Judge Magny is here, Cascade is here, and then this is Temperance. So we'll cover quite a bit of the far north side of the North Shore. Grand Portage, it's got the Pigeon River runs through it, and this is the largest waterfall. So on this side, this is Canada, this is Minnesota. So it's got some really nice viewing areas, and it's worth the drive up there. It's pretty neat to see the largest waterfall in our state. This is Judge Magny. This is actually the Superior Hiking Trail too. We hike down these steps, and we get to the waterfalls, which are down there. So this is a pretty good hike, pretty good workout. Judge Magny's got two or three really nice waterfalls the kids can get real close to and check out. Another really nice viewing areas as well. And then Cascades just got a really cool river that runs through all these different waterfalls, and it's pretty scenic as well. Monday, the day we take off, we're going to get the kids up at 6. We're going to hopefully watch the sunrise on Lake Superior, have a light breakfast, load everything up, and hopefully leave by about 7. We'll stop at Moose Lake, which is just south of Duluth, for a bathroom and a food break. Then about 10:30 we'll leave, and at the earliest 12:30 we'll arrive back at the high school, more like about 1:30. And so the kids could just get their gear off the trailer and take it home, and they won't be expected to go back to class that day, even though we get back before the end of the day. So kids that want to leave a car at the high school, when they drive over on Saturday morning, that's fine, as long as they park it in their designated parking lot that they have a pass for. You can get a ride in. That works well too. But if you park in the wrong lot, then they're probably going to ticket you. Quick shot of the sunrise in Lake Superior. If it's not cloudy, it's definitely worth checking out. The cost for this trip is $100 per student. That covers our transportation, the bus fee, trailer fee, fuel, campground, firewood, which we'll get for the kids, and then supplies as well. What they need, we're going to ask them to provide as much of this as they possibly can. We're going to give them an equipment list, so they'll have everything on that equipment list that they need to bring. They'll plan their food with the group. If there's anything that they can't get with their group, if they're missing some equipment, they can let me or Mrs. Reynolds know as soon as possible. We'll send the equipment list home to the parents, so they're involved in the planning process as well. And we'll send a food list, kind of the meals that the kids will be planning for. They'll figure out their own meals, but at least they'll have an idea what meals they'll be planning for. We'll do a number of things in class to prep for this trip, and we'll get all this done before the 13th, and have multiple opportunities to practice some of them. Number of rules on this trip. We want the kids to stay together, never go anywhere alone. Chaperones will be, present wherever we're at, so they'll always know where the chaperones are. We want to make sure they're in their tents at night by the set time. Co-ed tents are not allowed. We'll allow kids to have tents, with guys in one tent, girls in the other in the same campground, but they will not be able to share tents. So the other thing is, common sense, comes into play. We don't put anything flammable or explosive in the fire. So we'll talk about fire safety as well, and we'll keep the fires under control. Kids are bringing a lot of stuff on this trip, so we ask them to put their name on them because we always have a number of leftover things, and the names on it, we can get back to them as soon as we can. School-sponsored trips, so there's no alcohol, tobacco, or controlled substances. All school rules will be enforced. So we also follow no trace campground guidelines, so we want to make sure that we pack everything out. We don't leave any garbage behind. There are quiet hours at the campground, and the campground's going to be pretty full when we get there. So that starts at 10 p.m. and it goes till 6 a.m. So we want to keep our voices down. We don't need to cut any live plants in the campground because we will be providing firewood. Good decision-making skills are required, so ask before making a potentially poor choice. We have a rules form, medical form, and permission form that must be signed by both parents and students before going on the trip. And then we need to follow the bus rules as well. In case of any violations, any minor violations like being too noisy, things like that, we may limit recreational activities. We may have an early curfew for some students. We may move students to the teacher campground. We're going to have a number of teacher/chaperone campgrounds. And so if we need to make sure we keep a closer eye on some kids, we'll definitely do that. Never really had to do anything other than just remind kids to be quiet. That's usually the biggest challenge for us. But, we just want to make sure we respect the other people in the campground and don't cause any problems there. And in the past, the kids have been really good. So there's just a lot of enthusiasm on this trip. In case of major rules violation, this would be using alcohol, tobacco, controlled substance, or doing something that endangers someone else on the trip. We would need to call the parents, arrange for transportation home as soon as possible. If transportation can't be provided, then we would call the state or county police, and we would transfer custody to those folks. We've never had to do this before since we've been taking this trip, and I certainly don't expect it to happen this time, but we need to make sure parents are aware of this, and as well as the students, because it's really a tough situation if something like this were to happen. It really is something we don't look forward to doing at all. We've talked to our deans, and this is what they have made the policy for these trips and other trips as well. So this is really important to understand this, and any students that have had a violation, chemical violation, are not allowed to go on this trip. Any students who are in our classes, if we feel that they're not going to be able to handle the rules on this trip, then we will definitely make sure that they aren't part of it. But again, this is something that we've never had to do before, so we want to continue that tradition. The deadline for signing up is Friday, September 28th, and so that gives us 2 weeks just to kind of make some final adjustments if we need more campsites or more equipment. That'll be the date that the medical, permission, and rules forms are due. So we'll be emailing those home to parents, and the $100 fee is also due that day as well. So anybody that has any issue paying the fee, let us know. The parents can email myself or Mrs. Reynolds. Students can talk to us too, and we will tap into some other resources we have in the school and cover the cost. So we've never had a kid not be able to go because they can't pay for the trip. So just let us know on that. Here's our contact information. So again, I teach first hour, and you can email me or call me, and Mrs. Reynolds teaches third hour. And same thing, you can contact her anytime with any questions. All right, that's about it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully everybody can make it on the trip, and we'll talk soon. See ya.